Good afternoon, Iowa. My name is Kat Rocketship with Iowa Citizens for Community Improvement, and this is CCI TV, the Coronavirus Report. The novel coronavirus that causes COVID-19 is surging across Iowa and the United States. College athletic facilities, grocery stores, bars, and restaurants have all become new sites for the spread of this deadly virus. But rather than slow down Iowa's rushed reopening for profit, Governor Reynolds announced last week that Iowa will not require face masks when school resumes. If school districts are forced to comply with the governor's irresponsible approach, it will be a death sentence for some teachers, students, and their families. Reopening Iowa over the summer has already caused a terrifying surge in new cases in just a few short weeks. What exactly does Governor Reynolds think will happen when more than 500,000 preschool through 12th grade students, plus teachers and other staff, return to school in August without masks? Instead of issuing harmful recommendations that ignore the true scope of the pandemic and the crisis, Governor Reynolds should be working to fully fund Iowa schools so teachers have the resources they need to slow the spread of COVID-19. As we will hear later in today's show, this should include a statewide order to mask up Iowa in public, on the job, and at school. For more on that now, we turn to Dr. Eli Perencevich, an infectious diseases physician and an epidemiologist from Iowa City. Dr. Eli, what do we know about this disease, and how can we stop the spread?
Thank you all for inviting me, and thanks for the introduction. This virus is spread by droplets, which means that things like masks and face shields will work. They can contain and block viruses that are droplet spread. Until we have a vaccine or a good treatment, we'll all depend on non-pharmaceutical interventions. So those are things that you've heard 1,000 times. Widespread testing and contact tracing are put at the top of the list. And then physical distancing, where you stay 6 feet away from others, wearing a mask, wearing a face shield, all of these are thought to be very effective. So we need to talk about universal face covering policies. And there's a pretty famous paper from the Proceedings of the Royal Academy in the UK that said mandatory face masking policies, even if they're only 50% effective, will basically halt the virus spreading. Mandatory masking would basically work like a vaccine, even if the masks are only 50% effective in spreading the virus. If you got above 30% of folks to wear face shields, you could also start to control the virus. This whole idea that it's an either or, that we either have to be business friendly and do nothing, and we can't tell businesses what to do, and then kind of hope that the economy is going to come back without getting the virus under control, I think it's a fallacy. It's not just supply. It's not just getting the businesses open. It's actually demand. And if I'm not willing to go shopping, the economy is not coming back. I'm not a politician, but I would push mandatory face covering policies in any county. If the governor isn't going to do it, then each of our counties need to do it, and then hope that she allows it to happen. And if she blocks it, then it's on her. It's on IDPH and her. I'm a baseball fan, so I don't think we should just not go up to the plate and take our swings. I think we need to hammer our representatives locally. I think mayors and counties need to do the right thing. And then I think we need to go up there and do it, because lives and the economy depend on it, even if the governor doesn't get it.
Thanks, Dr. Perencevich. As we see an uptick in COVID-19 cases, our political, state public health, and business leaders are silent. It's time to mask up Iowa and to require face coverings in public and on the job. As Dr. Eli says in this tweet, we need personal protective equipment for all workers. PPE works in healthcare, and it can effectively stop the spread of COVID in Iowa. Governor Reynolds' latest COVID-19 directives discourage masks, temperature checks, and local decision-making in our public schools. Her irresponsible directives fail to keep young people, teachers, and school staff safe. Fortunately, we're seeing young people step up to keep each other safe, even as the governor refuses to act. In Des Moines, the leaders of Black Lives Matter continuously rise to the challenge of keeping our community safe, and the coronavirus is no exception. Leaders of Black Lives Matter Des Moines require masks at all of their actions, and they're providing masks to those who don't have them. To learn more about Black Lives Matter's work to mask up Des Moines, we turn to Leandre Kennedy, a student at Des Moines University and a street medic with Black Lives Matter Des Moines. Hey, Dre, thanks for jumping on with us today.
Hey.
So Why has the mask usage at public events been a priority for Black Lives Matter Des Moines?
Well, while at Black Lives Matter, where we are protesting to bring about racial equality, we understand that the health of people is the most important thing you can have. And we feel like it'd be extremely irresponsible of us to try to promote equality while disregarding physical health. So
Right.
we feel like it's very important to make sure people are masked up.
Right. This is a long-term movement and we need people in it to be able to carry it forward. Yeah. Have you run into any difficulties in getting masks to everybody who needs them?
No, people have been willing, and for the most part, we actually don't really have to even hand out any masks. We do have masks that we give out, but most people are actually pretty good about bringing their own. Every now and then, when people are really passionate in speaking, we have to remind them to pull their mask back up. But I would say that's a good problem to have. People, are really passionate, and sometimes you can get caught up in the moment and forget to pull your mask back up. But for the most part, we have had no problems with people bringing masks. And every now and then, if someone forgets a mask, we have extras to hand out. And we actually, we try to practice as much social distancing as possible as well, because we understand that masks and social distancing are, the key to trying to stop the spread.
Right. So if we can pull this off on the community level, if we can pull this off peer to peer at the protests and the marches that happen, why do you think we can't pull this off on the state level? Why do you think we can't get Kim Reynolds to pull this off?
Well, first and foremost, I want to say that I'm not a politician, but I think we understand right now that this has turned into a political statement versus, a public health statement. Because if it was just about public health, it would be very simple. Wear a mask. Even if you didn't think it was going to help you, just wear a mask because it's going to help somebody else. But unfortunately, right now, it's turned into well, if you wear a mask, you're liberal or something like that, versus, it should be you're wearing a mask because you care about other people's health. And we know Kim Reynolds' political backing, and I don't have to discuss the people that she has in her corner, but that has a lot to do with her willingness to, wear a mask in public,
Right.
or demand that we wear masks.
Right. And then it puts the work back on our community members who have other work to be doing as well. Black Lives Matter is part of this work. Black Lives Matter Des Moines has called for funding community care by defunding the Des Moines Police Department. Can you speak a little bit about what community care looks like in this moment?
Well, since we've been putting the onus of the community care on ourselves, we've been organizing things such as food drives and things like that. Whereas we feel like that should be the responsibility, or it shouldn't be the responsibility of the government, but they do have, at the end of the day, they should be a little more willing to help certain communities in the Des Moines area. Whereas, we're offering programs for tutoring through schools, we're offering food drives, we're offering rides for people to get to places, because right now buses are only for essential trips. And if we were to maybe pull a little, because the police departments just across the nation are very well budgeted. Very rarely will you find a police department that's under budgeted. And we feel like, if we took some of that money and reinvested it into developing our communities, instead of underdeveloping our communities and then trying to control the problems that a lack of funding in communities end up having. Instead, we're thinking, well, if we develop our communities, maybe we won't have to police them as hard. The communities that are very well developed, like in a lot of suburban towns, they're not. There's no need to have police sitting around all the time, because those communities are well funded. People tend to, in a well funded community, think there's less crime. There's less reason to have cops sitting around.
Yeah.
And I think the idea is that we put all this money into policing,
Yeah.
and our communities have not gotten any better.
Mm-hmm.
So why put so much money into trying to control these communities instead of just trying to make them better?
Yeah. That's an important point, that control versus caring for the community. And at the end of the day, it's our money that's going towards funding the police as well. So we should get to have a say in how it gets spent.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, thanks very much. Thanks so much for hopping on the call with us today, Leandre. It's good to talk with you. Stay safe out there.
Yep, you too.
Thanks. The movement for Black Lives is active in Iowa, as you can see, and they're modeling new ways of caring for our communities. Last week, Black Lives Matter leaders in Cedar Rapids massed up at a vigil for Jacinto Rivera Ramirez, an undocumented community member who was called to the Cedar Rapids ICE office without explanation. Community members feared that ICE wanted to separate Jacinto from his 15-year-old son by detaining or deporting him. Fortunately, 100 Iowans came together to keep Jacinto safe from ICE. Together, they stood for justice, forced ICE to back off Jacinto, and helped Jacinto win freedom to live in Iowa without the burden of a GPS ankle monitor. In this clip, Jacinto discusses the difficulties that people in jails and detention centers face during detention.
Mano está bajo la custodia de los oficiales de federales, entonces les suplico a ustedes si no le pueden dar la libertad para que salga. Entonces, el bien no solo para mi hermano, yo creo que el bien es para toda la gente que vive aquí en el estado de Iowa, porque como salen las noticias que esta enfermedad es algo contagioso y no se puede reunir muchas personas. Y yo también he pasado en las cárceles y allí las personas no están separadas, están en grupo. Y yo quiero que si nos ayuden, les agradecemos muchísimo. No solo para el bien de mi hermano, no solo para mí, sino que es para la gente de Iowa.
Thanks, Jacinto. When Iowans stand together, we can protect one another and keep our communities safe. And that's why we need a mask requirement to keep everybody healthy. Iowa CCI members are fighting for a science-based COVID-19 response because we know that nobody is truly healthy unless our neighbors are healthy too. Governor Reynolds, on the other hand, is actively enabling outbreaks and allowing COVID hotspots to escalate across Iowa. She's choosing to ignore the science and let corporate leaders continue to put profits before people's health, even as the state sees a new surge in cases. Johnston and Story counties are now home to serious outbreaks of this deadly disease, and we need bold action from the governor. We need it today. To hear why Governor Reynolds needs to mask up Iowa, I'm going to turn it over to a nurse, Kathy Glosson. She's a CCI member and the president of SEIU Local 199, and she's calling for Governor Reynolds to step up and protect Iowans. Kathy?
Thanks so much, Kat, and thanks to all the advocates who are fighting for a better Iowa. My name is Kathy Glosson. I'm a registered nurse, the president of SEIU Local 199, a proud member of Iowa Citizens for Community Improvement, and a 2018 candidate for governor. As a nurse and union leader in Iowa City, I have seen Iowans demonstrate incredible bravery during the COVID-19 pandemic. In this moment, we've come together to build a better future for our neighbors, our kids, and our grandkids. But unfortunately, while Iowans focus on responding effectively to COVID-19, our governor has dropped the ball. Governor Reynolds has refused to implement common sense containment strategies. Iowa has absolutely no requirement for mask wearing in any situation, and we rank dead last among the states in requiring masks or face coverings in public. You know, public health experts agree that requiring mask usage would help stop the spread in Iowa and across the country. It's time to put people before dangerous pandemic politics and initiate a COVID-19 containment strategy that protects our families. And it starts with universal face covering policies that require masks and face shields in public and on the job. And this is especially urgent for my fellow nurses and healthcare workers who are on the front lines of fighting COVID-19. Let's mask up Iowa. Let's start with a face covering policy, guaranteed hazard pay, and union rights for all essential workers. A plan to require face coverings really should come from the State House. But if state officials won't act, then county and city leaders should implement this people-centered policy without delay. Requiring face coverings is the best chance that we have of ensuring the health and safety of all people.
Thanks, Kathy. Definitely. Iowa CCI members demand that Governor Reynolds put people first and institute a statewide Mask Up Iowa order that requires face coverings in public and on the job, including at schools. Short of a people stay-at-home order, a mask requirement is the only public policy that has a chance of keeping Iowa safe from this deadly virus. Governor Reynolds, we must protect each other with sound public policy, grounded in science, not corporate greed. Until we have a vaccine, we need to mask up Iowa. You must implement a statewide policy requiring face coverings today. Iowans, if you're ready for better leadership, visit staysafeiowa.com, sign a petition calling on Governor Reynolds to mask up Iowa, and post on social media with the hashtag MaskUpIA. For CCI TV, I'm Kat Rocketship, reminding you to stay in place, maintain space, cover your face, and organize, organize, organize. Stay safe, Iowa.